The Bucs are officially eliminated from playoff contention for the 11th season in a row, so the Glazers are going head coach shopping. Who do you want coaching in Tampa next year? Welcome back to the Play Reaction. I'm Corey Draper, and this is the place to catch up on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Yeah, the frustrating, miserable, terrible, horrible, no good, very bad Bucs. I'm sure most of us expected a loss coming into this game against Baltimore, but it doesn't make it any better when you have a game full of drops, penalties, and missed tackles. It stayed competitive in spite of all of that, but in the end, the Bucs did what they do best. Just enough to lose. All of this happened just after reports that morning of the Bucs front office beginning the search for their next head coach. The initial report came from Jason La Canfora, who posted an article which said this: "The Tampa Bay Buccaneers have begun gathering information on potential head coaches and are making contingencies for a coaching search, with Dirk Koetter unlikely to be back next season." This leads me to believe that even if the Bucs won this game, the writing has been on the wall for Dirk Koetter. The article goes on assuming that Todd Monken would be fired along with Koetter. I can't blame La Canfora for making that assumption because most of the time, assistant coaches are fired with the head coach. Usually, the new head coach comes in and brings in his guys. But honestly, I don't want to see Monken go. This offense, while it's had its struggles, was still the best this franchise has ever seen this season. So while it's uncommon, I would love to see the Bucs hire a head coach that actually doesn't use nepotism and bring his own guys in. I'd love to see the Bucs hire a guy and actually keep the things that are working about this team. Some of you might remember that when the Bucs traded for John Gruden in 2002, Gruden shrewdly took an "if it's not broke, don't fix it" mentality. He took one look at this team with its historically dominant defense and decided to bring back defensive coordinator Monte Kiffin. John gave him control of the defense and concentrated on fixing the offense himself. Now, I'm not saying that this offense is anywhere near the caliber of the old Bucs defense. However, with Monken calling the plays, this team was a top 5 offense this year, one that's good enough to win games with a good defense. It may be poor timing for me to say this considering how badly the offense played on Sunday. But keep in mind that it was a rainy day in Baltimore, which directly led to some key drops against one of the best defenses in the league. In my opinion, Monken deserves to stay. So, besides Todd Monken, is there anyone else that deserves to continue with this team? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. But the only one I can think of who may have a shot is Brinson Buckner, the defensive line coach. It took a little bit, but this defensive line has been huge for this team. They made an incredible leap from last year, and I think Brinson has done a great job in getting the most out of his guys. One could also make an argument for the interim defensive coordinator, Mark Duffner. He took Mike Smith's scheme and turned a historically bad defense into a competitive one, in spite of major injuries to the linebackers and secondary. Duffman has done an incredible job and deserves all the praise in the world. But in the end, he's a lot older, and it's probably just best to purge the staff of this defense and bring in some young blood to help fix this culture. For me, it's all about who the Bucs hire. So who could they bring in that would be capable of taking over this defense while leaving the offense to Todd Monken? The first candidate I would want to interview is Cowboys DB coach Kris Richard. Richard took over play calling duties for the boys this year, and the result has been great. Dallas is a top 5 defense and number 2 in points allowed. Richard interviewed for head coaching jobs last season and should be a hot candidate this year. If you ask me, right now, this is the guy I want, granted he retains Monken. Okay, so what if we don't go the defensive route and just clean house altogether? Who's a guy who could take this potentially explosive offense and make it dominate like the Chiefs or the Rams? We'll have a young, talented QB in the final year of his contract looking to prove that he can win. Is there a guy out there who could take this offense to the next level? One guy I'm looking at is Chiefs offensive coordinator Eric Bieniemy. Now, I know that Bieniemy doesn't call plays in Kansas City, but he's overseen an offense that is one of the best in the NFL with a second-year quarterback. On top of that, he's part of the illustrious Andy Reid coaching tree. The last 2 offensive coordinators for Reid, Matt Nagy and Doug Peterson, have become successful head coaches immediately. You want to help Jameis grow into his potential? Get someone who has experience doing that with a young QB and someone who learned under an NFL legend. So those are 2 of my guys, but I know there's plenty of fishes in the coaching tree. So who do you want the Bucs to look at to be the next head coach? We'll unfortunately have plenty of time to talk about it. Remember, the Glazers never fire head coaches mid-season, so don't tire yourself out hitting refresh on Twitter until Black Monday. Until then, let's just hope the Falcons keep losing so we can at least fight to not be in last place in the division. Again. Alright guys, have a great week, and let's hope the Bucs can ruin the Cowboys' playoff chances. Go Bucs!